Hello, Chicago! Welcome on in to another episode of Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Well, that sucked. There's really no other way to describe what we saw out on the lakefront yesterday afternoon. That was so bad in every way. Impotent offense, inability to make the big play defensively, and ultimately not just losing, but getting beaten in and battered by an inferior opponent for the second week in a row. We will react to what happened in that game specifically. We will discuss the future of this coaching staff and a little bit of the front office as well. They've said changes are coming. Do we believe them at this point? What changes could possibly be good enough for you? Is there any hope left for this team to do anything of consequence this season? We'll talk about that as well. And then before we get out of here, we'll check in on some college basketball. Things did tip off last season, so we'll check in on some of the local teams. All that is coming up right now on Chi-Town Weekly. Don't go anywhere. Buckle on up. It's going to be a rough one tonight, folks. And hello and good evening. Welcome on into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I am your host, Adam Karnick. Glad that you are with us here tonight. It's going, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, thank you for being here. This is going to be a rough one. It was a rough weekend in Chicago. A lot of people have had an opportunity to vent about what happened yesterday. If you have not taken the opportunity or just feel like you need to take another opportunity, we're here for you. Fire away with your comments in the chat room. I will post them, or if you put it in there and say, hey, don't post this, I just want to vent, that's fine. I won't post it. I'll read it, but I won't post it live on the show. That was frustrating as all get out on the lakefront yesterday. We will talk a lot of Bears tonight. We will talk about that game specifically. We will talk about what changes they have said are coming, what changes could possibly be coming. Will they possibly make a difference? And is there any possible conceivable way that Matt Eberflus survives this season anymore at this point? We are going to be very heavy on Bears tonight. Lots to get through there. We are going to talk some college basketball as well, but it is going to be a lot of Bears tonight on the show. Before we get into it, though, a quick word from our sponsors here at the station, from Planet Jerky, from Seal the Deal Wax Seals, and, of course, from the platform that makes all of this possible, IE Sports Radio. So a quick word from them, and then we will get into the show proper. This is Chi-Town Weekly. Do not go anywhere. We will be right back. IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop, including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at iSports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making iSports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back into the show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Thank you to our sponsors, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky and Seal the Deal. And of course, then to IE Sports Radio for providing the platform for not just this show, but every single show on the network. You heard there how to follow along with the station on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. Just search at IE Sports Radio. This show is available for you on social media as well, on Twitter at IESRC. Or you can also follow along with me personally on Twitter. I am at Adam_Karnick. Thank you to everybody tuning in live tonight as well, whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or on Twitter. Hop on into the chat room. Let me know that you're here. We got some good comments going already. Larry B just asking, what is Chicago doing? Taryn Rodriguez saying good evening. We are going to have an awesome show. We don't have to try. We know it will be awesome. And then try to inject some positivity here in the early going. Illinois women's volleyball did pull off an upset over the weekend over number 21 USC in Illinois. So good job there in some early Big Ten action. Shane on Facebook, who's the best fantasy football opponent I've ever played against? Yeah, I'm only in like 3 leagues with you, Shane. Yeah, well, you keep roping me into this stuff. I I don't know. I'm sick in the head with some of it. I think must be it. And then Wes Trueblood, good evening, sir. Hope you're having a good time as well. We got to get into this. Rip the Band-Aid off. The Bears in the latest must-win game of the season lost to the, at the time, 2-7 New England Patriots. 19-3. Where do you even want to start with this one? Oh, and good evening. My mom is in the chat room as well, and then Wes saying we have no offensive linemen yet left. Yeah, we're going to get into that a little bit. We're going to have a little bit of that discussion because obviously that played a role in the game, but this is just completely untenable at this point. And the worst part is the offense. The offense is just gone completely non-existent the last 2 weeks. Excuse me. From failing to score a touchdown for the second game in a row. It's the first time they've had that problem in 20 years where they've gone back-to-back games without an offensive touchdown. To you didn't even pick up 150 yards of offense. To the one scoring drive you had was 50 yards. No other drive even eclipsed 25. Caleb Williams barely completed half his throws again. This is just, we're once again, we're mired in this spot offensively where yet again, the Bears are proving to be the cure for whatever ails you defensively. These last 3 losses against Washington, against Arizona, and against New England, none of those are top tier elite NFL defenses. Washington is a middle of the pack defense. Arizona was in the mid 20s, and New England was one of the worst third down defenses in the NFL and had a grand total of 8 sacks over their last 6 games. And you couldn't get anything going against those defenses. Now, that's not to say that those teams don't have talent on the defensive side of the ball. They absolutely do. Every team in the NFL has talent. Every team has talent. But the collective sum of those 3 opponents defensively is nothing spectacular. And yet all 3 of them completely shut you down, absolutely made you irrelevant offensively, turned the Bears into a punting machine certainly over the last 2 games, but even going back to Washington. And I know what the excuse will be and Wes hinted at it already right there. We have that there are no offensive linemen left. The Bears are reduced to their third string left tackle, their backup right tackle, who was their backup guard, their backup left guard, who used to be their third string center, their backup right guard, who used to be their backup center. I know that's a problem. And I'm not trying to argue that that isn't a problem, because it obviously is. You never want to be so heavily reliant upon backups. But you know what? Welcome to life in the NFL. Every team has to deal with injuries. Every team has to be able to pivot on the fly and be able to reevaluate and figure out how to make things work with the talent you have available. Now, we can argue about the quality of the talent available. That's certainly a discussion worth having, that Ryan Poles should have done more to address the offensive line. I would push back a little bit against the argument that he's done nothing to improve the offensive line. I disagree with that. He's drafted 3 tackles in his time here. You made Nate Davis a priority signing in free agency. You traded for Ryan Bates. You made sure to bring in Coleman Shelton in free agency. He hasn't ignored the offensive line. He just hasn't evaluated what he's gone after properly. I'm glad Wes is agreeing with me there. You know, you can't say that Poles has done nothing. He's done things, just the things that he's done haven't been good enough. You know, it's the Pirates of the Caribbean meme when Orlando Bloom comes up and wham, that's not good enough. That's the problem. That is overall the problem with this Bears offense. That's not good enough. And it's ultimately the problem with this organization as a whole, is it's not good enough. But we're going to get into some of that a little bit later on. You've got to be able, if you're Shane Waldron calling the plays, you've got to be able to figure out how to do something with what you have, instead of just assuming that the next man up is just as good as the man he's replacing and that everything will be just fine. Just keep running everything. You have to adjust. Hey, I've got backup tackles on both bookends. Let's try to take some pressure off of them. Let's operate out of shotgun and do some quick passes. Let's maybe try to instigate a screen here and there. Though, God, the way the offensive line tried blocking for a couple of screens yesterday, holy cow. Oh my God, that looked awful. That was horrible, a couple of those. Where it's just, Matt Pryor, what are you doing? What are you doing out there? The most astonishing thing out of all this for me is, well, 2 things, really. Caleb Williams, I have not seen, I can't recall seeing a quarterback go from being so high. You know, it was just a month ago that the Bears were coming back from London in the midst of a 3-game winning streak, and Caleb Williams was playing an elite level of football, to now he can't even complete half his throws. And he's made some awful throws, some just absolutely terrible throws. Nothing downfield of consequence. Just a complete lack of connectivity with DJ Moore. Just absolutely no chemistry there between the two of those. Yeah, Moore in the flat and loses 4 yards. Yeah, we're going to get in. Larry B bringing up, this is where coaching comes in more than ever. Yeah, we're going to get into the coaching. We're going to get into the coaching part of this. I can't recall seeing a quarterback going from against Jacksonville. Let's just bring up the Jacksonville game for a moment in London for just a moment. Yes, all, the Rams, the Panthers, and the Jaguars were all 3 terrific games for the Bears offensively. Obviously, the Rams game not nearly as much as the other 2. But you look at Caleb Williams in that Jacksonville game, 23 of 29 for 226 yards, 4 touchdowns, and a pick. Compare that to yesterday. They're not even the same player. It's just, I can't recall seeing a quarterback make such a drastic fall so quickly. I can't even begin to explain it other than coaching. Something happened during that bye week. Where a message got changed, or they got too full of themselves, or something happened during that bye week, and this team isn't the same. You can relate some of it to losing to Washington. The Hail Mary loss to Washington, absolutely. That I'm willing to account that for, that's what happened in Arizona. That can't be a reason for why that happened yesterday against the Patriots. The other incredible thing that you can't explain is the Bears' total inability to convert third down. It doesn't matter if it's third and short, third and medium, third and long. They can't do it. The Bears were 1 for 14 yesterday on third down. Over their last 3 games, they are 6 for 40. That is 15% on third down. The middle of the pack team in the NFL this season on third down is the Houston Texans at a little over 38%. That is miles ahead of where the Bears are over these last 3 games. They have no rhythm. They have no identity. They have nothing upon which they can hang their hat. It feels like offensively, we ran into this problem with Getsy last year, where it's simply Getsy is just throwing darts at a board and, well, that play didn't work. Let's try this play. We had the same issue with Nagy in the last season, where it just felt like all you were doing was picking a play at random on the sheet, that there was no rhythm. There was no connectivity to what they were doing. Nothing was being done with any purpose or intention. It's simply, well, that play didn't work. Let's try this one instead. Matt Eberflus spoke today about how they're going through the process of figuring out what changes they need to make. Well, first of all, brother, let me tell you, you're in a 3-game losing streak in the NFL. You need to change something. You cannot keep the status quo. To quote one of my favorite programs ever, because the status is not quo. This is not acceptable. This cannot be a standard of acceptability at Hallis Hall. You have to do something. Take away Shane Waldron's play calling abilities. Take away your own defensive play calling abilities so that you can monitor what's going on with the offense. Flat out fire Shane Waldron. Promote one of the other coaches to offensive coordinator. You have to do something. This cannot be tolerated. Because now the gauntlet starts. We talked before the season about how the Bears' season was very peculiarly constructed, where the first 9 games were essentially the warm-up period, and you have the entire divisional slate over the final 8 games of the season. I can't recall having a season where all of the division is stacked at the end of the season like this. And there was Waldron is trying to beat Nagy's record for creativity. I mean, I guess if you want to call those goal to go situations creative, I suppose. Otherwise, frankly, I'll be honest, I haven't really seen anything creative out of Waldron. I'll give this for Nagy. He did come up with some unique play designs that when they worked were really cute, and when they didn't work, wow, they would blow up spectacularly. This is more of just yesterday it was just, all right, we're going to blitz the A gap. Oh my God, they're going to blitz the A gap. Oh, what a strategy. I've never considered that before. How do we block this? What do we do? I don't know. Maybe you tell your left guard hey, you see that guy blitzing? Stop him. Or maybe you tell your running back, hey, you see that guy blitzing? Go get him. Go stop him. Make sure he doesn't get to your quarterback. There wasn't anything creative going on there from New England. It was just, all right, we're going to blitz right up the A gap, and the Bears had no response for it. That's not a whole lot of creativity. That's just, all right, well, this is working. We're going to keep doing it until you stop it. And the Bears couldn't figure out any way to stop that. So now we're on to the actual season. 6 divisional games in the final 8, starting with Green Bay coming off of a bye week. I try to be relatively even-keeled when I do this show. I try not to let the lows be too low or the highs be too high. I've got to be honest. I see absolutely zero way that the Bears win this game on Sunday. I see absolutely no path to victory in this game. You've shown that you can't stop. You can't succeed against middle of the pack defenses. Green Bay's defense is one of the best defenses in taking the ball away in the NFL. They're top 10. That's the one thing that you can say as a positive for the offense over these last 3 games is at least they haven't turned the ball over. The fumble on the goal line on that ill-fated Doug Kramer fullback dive is the only turnover they've had since the bye. If you couldn't move the ball against those defenses, I don't see any way you can move the ball against this defense. Not with any success, not with any regularity. Well, Jordan Love turns the ball over too. Yeah, Jordan Love has been known to put the ball in harm's way, and the Bears defense is very opportunistic. I don't have any faith that the Bears will do anything once they get it. They were +2 in the takeover category against Arizona. They were +1 yesterday. Nothing to show for it offensively. Nothing. A combined 3 points off of 3 takeaways. What if Jordan Love gets hurt? They've had to play Malik for several games already this season. And Matt LaFleur has figured out a way to make the offense be comfortable with him. I see absolutely zero path to victory in this game. And I hate saying that. I hate saying that. I want to be able to say, you show up in a game, you've got a chance. I don't see how they win this. And unfortunately, I have to take that and honestly spread it out over the course of the rest of the season. I know that I preach heavily that this is the NFL is unique in this. It's not a 17 game season. It is 17 individual, unique, 1 week long seasons. And there just happens to be an off week scattered in there somewhere. That things are so volatile in the NFL that to look too far ahead is ludicrous and absurd, because so much can happen in one game that can create a domino effect and affect things 2 or 3 weeks down the road. But I don't see how. Not only do I see how the Bears win this one against the Packers, I don't see how they win another game this season. You now have 3 games in the span of about 11 days. The Packers, the Vikings, and the Lions. The Packers are coming in off of their bye. Matt LaFleur's never lost to Chicago. That defense is opportunistic. Then you have the Vikings. All right, Sam Darnold has come back down to earth maybe a little bit, but Brian Flores is going to blitz the ever-living you-know-what out of you. The Bears couldn't handle the Patriots blitz. Man, Brian Flores is the blitz master. I don't know how you're going to come up with solving everything he's going to throw at you. And the Lions, oh my goodness. I don't see how you keep up with that. I think on a good day, on a great day, the Bears hold the Lions to 23 or 24. And I don't trust that the offense can put that up. And that's going down the line. I just don't trust this offense to be able to put up anything at this point. If you struggled against these opponents, you're taking a huge step up in quality of opponent. It is the toughest remaining schedule in the NFL. To finish above 500, the Bears would have to go 5-3 in their final 8. I don't see where they're coming up with 1, let alone 5. So where does that leave us? Where does that leave us with this organization? Where does that leave us with Matt Eberflus and Ryan Poles? We're going to take a quick break, and then I want to have a discussion about that. We need to have a talk about these guys, who's running this organization. What would you do? What change would you make with this team after 3 losses in a row? Let me know in the comments. We're going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, we've got to talk about Matt Eberflus's future. This is Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hello, sports fans. It's me, your boy Larry B, and I want to walk you through the world of sports. No, not just the mainstream major TV deal type sports, although those are important too. But let me be your guide through your journey of all sports, from college to the pros, the minors, and everything in between. Each week, we are talking sports galore with true diehards just like you from a hardcore fan's perspective that's sure to quench your thirst around leagues you may know all too well and some you may even discover here. That's right, sports fans. If you love sports of all kinds, enjoy hearing amazing sports stories, and respect all sports because you know how difficult any of them can be to play or compete in, then this is your show. Join me, your boy Larry B, on the defining moment each week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, and let the sports come to you.
What's up, New York? This is Ricky K coming at you at the NY State of Sports, a new show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Listen to me every Thursday afternoon as we bring you the latest takes on the Yankees, Mets, Jets, Giants, Knicks, Nets, Rangers, Devils, and Islanders. Plus, you get some college hoops and what's the local sports events going on in the area. It's a state that never sleeps, so why not get the opinions and sports takes that never sleep? Again, every Thursday, 2 p.m. to the NY State of Sports. We'll see you then.
And welcome back out into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Adam Karnick back with you here. Going to stick with Bears for the next segment on this show. Still reacting to not just the loss yesterday, but what the Bears have become. It is so incredible to think that just a month ago, the Bears were 4-2 and the sky was the limit. The team was on the rise. They were coming back from a terrific trip in London, a thorough smackdown of the Jacksonville Jaguars and they were getting national attention. Heck, one of the guys for CBS Sports even had the Bears in his top 10 in power rankings. He had the entire NFC North in the top 10 in the power rankings. I'll be honest, I felt that was a little high, a little premature, but it was wow. The Bears are being well thought of. They're being well received, well regarded. This is the start of something. To now, a month later, they're a joke. They are an absolute joke. So what is Matt Eberflus's future in all this? The battered, bruised, beleaguered head coach of the Chicago Bears. He's now on a 3-game losing streak yet again. And depending on how you want to count, This is either his third or his fourth. He had a 3-game losing streak in his first year, followed that up by losing the final 10 in his first year, lost the first 4 last season, and now you've lost 3 in a row now. Depending on how you want to count it, I honestly think of it as that 10-game losing streak to end 22 and then the 4-game streak to start 23 as one gigantic streak, one huge-ass losing streak of 14 games. But either way, he unfortunately has experience with this. And it's not been pretty. 2 of the other 3 times they have failed to end the streak at 3. I know there were questions about his job security last week, and then it was reported by Brad Biggs, veteran Bears beat reporter over at the Chicago Tribune, that Eberflus is actually on a 5-year deal, not a 4-year deal. So he's under contract for 25 and 26. I don't care. I don't care. There's been some, I have seen enough. I have seen enough to make my decision. I've seen it put out there that, you know what, you're entering the most brutal part of your schedule. Anybody that you bring in at this point, all you'd be doing is, if you were to axe Eberflus, all you would be doing is just promoting from within your own staff. And there's really not anybody that A, might be competent enough, or B, is deserving of suddenly having to wear losing 7 out of 8 or 6 out of 8, or hell, all 8 in a row. So make Eberflus wear this. Make him wear this, and then don't do him the favor of avoiding this misery that's about to come. And I get where that's coming from, and I kind of understand it. There's also the argument that, well, the Bears have never fired a coach in the season before. That's just not something they do. You know what else you don't do? You don't win very often. You don't make it to the playoffs very often. You don't win consequential games very often. You know what else you don't do, Bears? You don't win titles very often. You have 1 Lombardi trophy in 60 damn years that Super Bowl has been going on. You've shown up twice. You got your ass kicked in one of them, and you put on the greatest butt whipping that the world may ever have seen in the other one. And you've been living off of that for 40 years. You want to play the card of, well, that's not how we do business? Then the way you do business better be working. And it's not. It is broken, and it's been broken for a long time. You haven't won a playoff game in 15 years almost. You haven't won anything of consequence. So to sit here and say, well, that's not how we do business, is completely irrelevant. As for the other side of it, well, make Eberflus wear it. I understand where you're coming from with that, but I want to get back to something that I said last segment. Anytime that you're silent or you don't make a move, that silence speaks volumes. By keeping Matt Eberflus around, you are saying this is acceptable. That losing 2 out of 3 games for 3 seasons is acceptable. That losing to not just losing, but getting blown out at home against a bottom 5 team in the NFL is acceptable. That allowing a Hail Mary to completely gut, decimate, and destroy your locker room is unacceptable. To put it frankly, that's not good enough. This cannot be tolerated. This cannot be acceptable, and we will not stand for it. That is not good enough at 1920 Football Drive. That's not how we do business. We are in the business of winning football games, and that standard is not being met. Eberflus has had 2.5 seasons to build his culture. And we've seen that the hits principle is only as good as the paper or the chalkboard upon which it is written. It's time to say goodbye. If for no other reason than you send a clear message across the organization that the standard is not being met. This is not good enough. We will not tolerate this. We will give you time. You will have an opportunity to establish your culture and to establish your way of doing things as a head coach. But now more than halfway into a third season, and you are on your third 3-game losing streak. And there's no end in sight because the schedule only gets harder from here. This isn't good enough. And it can't be good enough. There are plenty of other teams that have fired their head coaches already. It's not too early. You spent a number 1 overall pick on a quarterback that was universally heralded as the best prospect at the quarterback position to come out in over a decade. You are actively destroying him. We are seeing him regress right before our very eyes. You have to do something to protect that. If you're Ryan Poles. And if you want to go after Ryan Poles, after all, Ryan Poles has always insisted, even though he technically was hired after Eberflus, it was Eberflus, and then Ryan Poles got hired. Poles has always insisted that Eberflus was his guy, that he did get to make the decision. The decision was Eberflus. So if you want to make Poles wear that and get rid of him, I'd understand that. I'm not there yet, but I understand that. In fact, I would say at this point, if you're going to get rid of Ryan Poles, then trade Caleb Williams out of here. Get him out of town. while he still has some value, I don't know what that value would be, but for once in this organization's life, do it the right way. If you're going to blow it up, don't just blow half of it up. Don't just blow 2/3 of it up. Blow the whole damn thing up. If that's what you're going to do, don't go off half-cocked. Go off all-cocked. Wes pointing out that most general managers do get 2 coaches. Absolutely. I personally would not have a problem keeping Ryan Poles. I still like Ryan Poles as a general manager. That's not to say I've liked every single move that he's made. That's ridiculous. Nate Davis is a complete waste of a roster space, of a roster spot. The way Kerry Blasingame has been handled this year makes no sense. The Chase Claypool thing, my God. You've got plenty of examples to point to where Poles has gotten it wrong. I would still argue that Poles is still a net positive, but you've got to get rid of Eberflus. And there's no time like the present. You have to, if Caleb Williams is your future, you have got to protect that future. You've got to make serious, drastic changes. They should have made them last year. Absolutely. You know, a thought that I have too on Shane Waldron. There were a lot of people praising the fact that Shane Waldron came in with play calling experience at the NFL level. And I kept saying it at the time, and I'm going to say it again now. Be careful what you wish for with that. At the NFL level, somebody that has experience at the job you're looking to hire, there is a reason why they are available. And it's usually not good. Oh man, this guy's got head coaching experience and we're needing a head coach. He'll be perfect. No, the reason but why is he available? If he's got head coaching experience, why isn't he head coaching right now? Chances are because he wasn't any good at it. Oh man, this guy's been a play caller in the NFL. Let's go snatch him up. He's available. Let's go get him. Why is an offensive play caller available? Why is a man or a coach? Why is a coach with experience in the thing you're looking for? Why hasn't that experience gotten him a job somewhere else? You have to ask that question. And so often in the NFL, the answer to that question is because he's not good at that job. He might be a great quarterback coach. He might be a great wide receiver coach. He might be a great coordinator. He might be a great lower tier job. But at that job, he struggles with it. I'm not saying that you should exclude anybody that has experience from your search. Far be it. Throw out all the nets. Cast the net wide and long when you're looking to make a hire. But don't just say, well, he's got experience. That means he'll be great at this job. You have to ask, if he's got experience, why isn't he already doing this for someone else? But Eberflus has got to go. You cannot keep him. I don't care what the terms of his contract are. I don't care how much money you still owe him. This cannot be tolerated. This cannot be acceptable. He's become Matt Nagy. He's using different phrases. You know, with Matt Nagy, it was always, we're searching for the whys. With Eberflus, it's, we're problem solving for answers. But it means the same thing. He's got no damn clue. And the whole team knows it. And this whole thing is falling apart. I look at the time on the clock. And that's going to be our show for the night. Heavy Bears. I wasn't expecting it to be 100% Bears, but that's the way things go sometimes. Sometimes you just have to get things off of your chest. A big shout out and thank you to our sponsors, Planet Jerky, premium brisket beef jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. Find them on planetjerky.net to place your order. They are still offering free shipping on all orders of $50 or above. You can also follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Also, be sure to check out Steal the Deal Wax Deals. You can follow them on Instagram at stealthedeal_wax deals. Place your order by going to iesportsradio.com/Steal the Deal Wax Deals. While you're there at iesportsradio.com, you can check out the shop, find all the merchandise. The holidays are coming up right around the corner. Car decals, sweatshirts, hats. And you can see I need one of those. T-shirts, ornaments, all the paraphernalia you could possibly want is all there. While you're there, you can also check out about this show. You learn about all the other shows on the network as well. Thank you to everybody that hung out with us in the chat room tonight. Wes Trueblood hanging out with us tonight. Kathy Kernick being there with us tonight. Shane Ross, and of course, the czar and overlord of all things IE Sports Radio, Larry B himself. Thank you all for being there in the chat room with us tonight. Finally, thank you to everybody that was listening to the show, whether you were watching the show live tonight across Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, or whether you were listening on later in the week as a podcast, whether it was on Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, wherever you find your shows. Thank you for being here. I really do appreciate it. Next week, it's Packers week. We will be breaking down, God, what I hope is not a disaster on the lakefront, and we'll check in with the other teams too. Until then, see you next week.